friends, friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to the Film Folklore Podcast. I am Jed Props, and I am joined today by, let's go over here, Heather Ray Costumes.
Hey.
And Justin Sound.
Hello.
Chris and Zoe, not here. And
again,
let's see, Justin, do you know where either one of them are?
Well, no, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Are they still together? I mean, this is extended
They're
trip.
definitely not together anymore because I know that Zoe's not in her position at the White House.
What are you hiding from us?
Well, she was fired.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it because of the cat?
Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah, with the dongle. We're not supposed to talk about that.
Oh,
yeah.
Classified.
Right.
I mean, we don't know anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You know, that also
Only
makes
Chris
sense.
knows.
Well, Chris was talking about like having to get her out of the country, but he kept saying her. He didn't say who. And so I didn't know who he was talking about, but now I'm wondering if it's Zoe. Is she on the lamb? She might be. I don't know. Anyway.
Or she might be on the camel.
Hey!
Mm-hmm. You never know what she's on.
But I have a strong feeling she's going to show up at the end of the episode. So, thank you for that. We hope they're all right. And sure, why not? So we're already back for, as the title would suggest, another tea time at the Rumor Mill because it's St. Patty's weekend here and everywhere, and we love a good theme. So today I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a little episode that's all luck themed. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe open up with some moments where we have gotten lucky at work. And just to be clear, not sexually. So get your collective heads out of the gutters, people.
Oh, wait. Just kidding.
I mean in the sense
Don't
of
shit
winging it.
people.
A happy accident, luck of the draw, happenstance, you get it. So, in rare form, I actually did ask y'all ahead of time, which is something I normally am terrible about doing. Were y'all able to come up with any moments in your careers that you've had some happy accidents or lucky moments?
Yeah, it's all luck for me. It's all
Honestly,
happy
like
accident.
I kind of panicked when you said this because I was like, okay, first of all,
Does my
anything I
birth
can
count
think
as a
of,
happy accident?
debatable. Happy accidents. I mean, half of film I feel is happy accidents. And I feel like it happens with such velocity that it's just I forget about that each one. Like I can't delineate one happy accident from another, honestly. Like that's why I panicked when you said it. I was like, okay, either I can't remember anything little or specific or whatever. I know I get lucky all the time, whether it's shopping for certain items or just random shit that happens on set. I feel like it's
I'll give you an example.
Got lucky there or whatever.
In prop world, like at least for me, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm reading a script and maybe there's like a feature prop, some kind of specialty prop situation, and I'll have an idea in my head of like what could maybe work or something like that. So it's like basically I'm brainstorming options. And so I'll use the movie. There's a movie I worked on called Blaze. It was a fun little project, but it's supposed to be the early 80s, and we had Sam Rockwell and who was it? Sam Rockwell and Richard Linklater and why am I blanking on the third person? But basically they were playing these cameo roles of these record producing kind of people who had come to Blaze Foley, the music, the biopic feature guy, and they are trying to sort of wine and dine him of sorts. But basically what they're doing while they're trying to talk to him about contracts and stuff is they're also like getting blow and like doing lines on the table and all this kind of stuff. So I'd gotten these notes about like they're big Texas, you know, they're going to have big buckle, you know, belt buckles and big hats and all this kind of stuff. And so it got me going in this like what could be grandiose. We're also shooting out in the middle of nowhere, so I'm not exactly near anything of use. But what I was near was antique shops. So I started looking around in antique shops, and sometimes you can get lucky where the idea comes to you in that way, where it's like you're kind of at an impasse, so you have to go out and find it, and it kind of will speak to you, I guess. So I had found this small powder horn that was, most powder horns are a little bit larger, like maybe sort of upwards of a foot maybe in length. But this was a smaller one, kind of handheld. And so in my head, I was going, I wonder if I clean that out, if I could take our fake Coke and it would, how would it come out on the other side? Like, would I be able to do it like a line and everything? So I got it on a whim, just going like, if I can make it work, cool, kind of thing. And I did have to do some tweaking, like I had to bore the hole differently, anyway, small tweaks to it. But when I started testing it, it was perfect. Like it just perfectly worked. And so when
you still have it, don't you?
No, because that was a low budget movie. And of course I only had one of them. And so I had to give it to the show. But on the day when I did want to keep it. But on the day I'm showing Sam Rockwell, like, because he was the one that was going to be doing
God, I bet he loved it.
He not only loved it, but he told me A+ for props, which made my day. But I joked and I was like, can I put that on my resume? And he goes, oh, yeah, man, of course you can. So at the bottom of my resume, it says A+ for props, Sam Rockwell.
I mean.
But that whole powder horn thing was a total accident. I mean, that was just me going, I need to find something cool. I'm in Jackson, Louisiana, which if anyone even knows that place exists, it's like really out in BFE. And when I found that, and then I'm going like, if I can make it work, cool. If not, I got to figure something else out. But it worked. And so that's just a happy accident. But it wasn't anything scripted. It wasn't like a certain way I had it in my head. And that's kind of how a lot of prop luck goes, is that you kind of cross your fingers with something, go, if I can pull it off, it'll be cool.
I mean, I feel like that's really, I feel like we're doing that a lot. Like being on set, you have to think on your feet. And if something goes wrong, you need to fix it right away.
Jury rig especially.
Yeah, talk about a jury rig. Yeah. There was, when I was working on Twilight, I was doing background and like stunt stuff. And there was this big stunt scene where...
Which installment of the saga was that?
I think it was the third and fourth one that they did. Second and third one? I don't know. How many are there?
I don't know.
I've never seen any of them.
I've seen 5 minutes of one. That was enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
No
so anyway, so we were sitting there and they were all rigged up on these wires for the stuntmen and flipping and doing all this stuff. And they had all these capes. And the capes kept getting caught in the fucking wires. So we're like, my friend Shanta, who's killer and amazing, and shout out to Shanta. We've been working together for a long time. And she and I still have a little song that we sing to each other, because when we were doing this, we're trying to figure out and we took one of those tagging guns that you put tags on and clothes in the store.
Oh, yeah.
We use little tiny
plasticky.
Yeah, we use them like little tiny micro ones to kind of, tack shit down and whatever, keep things together sometimes, or if it needs to rip or whatever. But we also had like the regular size ones, right? Luckily for us this time, because we ended up tagging the cape to the boot and crossing our fingers. And we're just like, to the boot. Like, we're just to the boot. Like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm just like, let's fucking tag it to the boot. We'll tag it to the boot, And so between every take, like, it would go one take. And like the first time we did it, Shanta and I are just watching. Like holding each other's hand, I think, like
crossing everything
we could cross, exactly. And it looked amazing. Of course, we did it like 5 more times because that's what we do.
Right.
But so every time we went out there, we're like, to the boot. And then we started singing, to the boot, motherfucker, to the boot, to the boot, mother. Yeah. So so that's basically, we still sing that every now and again randomly. But decades later.
That is a perfect example of winging it.
Yeah.
And that is.
Yeah. I mean, that's, like you're talking about luck, but sometimes you just, if you're good at thinking on your feet, you make your own luck.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you're making too, is that like critical thinking is a large part of what we do on set.
Absolutely. Problem solving.
Yeah. A lot
on the
of
fly.
that. And, oh my God, it's actually a pet peeve of mine. I've had people working with me on shows where if something breaks or doesn't work, they just stand there with their like thumb up their butt going like, it's not working. What do I do? And you're like, use your brain. That's what you got to do. And so like, then I got to like come over and figure it out for them. And it's it just aggravates.
Honestly, like in a weird, sick, masochistic kind of way, when things go wrong, that's my time to shine. I get off on that. I mean, even when I was acting, when things went wrong on set, I would like, and something went wrong, I'd be like, "Ooh, how do I deal with this on the fly?" Okay, have all eyes on me. Let's do this.
Live theater.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I feel like that's definitely true.
What would be a good example, Justin, of like a sound problem solving on the fly that you've had to do?
I mean, it really does happen all the time for sound. We have to mic people up. We have to go and, put a microphone on them, a lavalier microphone. It's this little tiny, wire that you hide underneath their clothing.
Which is why sound and costumes work very closely together. You're doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. And
not you, if you in general.
Whoever's...
Are you doing it right, Justin?
Yeah. Whoever's doing that, it can't really critically hear how that microphone sounds in that moment. Or it might just sound like shit, in that moment. And it could have to do with the clothing, or it could have to do with just how buried it is under the clothing or something like that. But then you work with a costumer and, you move things around. And a lot of times when you go back to the sound mixer or you do take a critical listen, it just sounds good.
This is never going to work. Holy shit. It totally works. It sounds great.
It surprises you a lot.
Have you ever picked up something that worked for the scene, but it wasn't intentional as far as like, trying to think like
birds,
a bird. Yeah. It could have been a bird, could have been something, but like the timing of the foreign sound, like
a bell
was
tower
serendipitous kind of.
Oh, sure. Actually, good example. And this is something I never imagined that they would. I mean, I had hoped, and this is always something that you hope that that creative people make good choices on. But if you're in an environment, you want to hear what that environment sounds like for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. But if there's loud extraneous noises that are taking over the dialogue, then you don't want that in there. A big example is a train, right? If we're shooting close to train tracks, we have to pause whenever trains pass by for the most part. When we were shooting Rebel Ridge, though, out in Leesville, Louisiana, there's a...
Woof.
Wow. I did not realize that was in Leesville.
Yeah.
A good portion of it was out there. Yeah.
It's also locally known as Sleesville sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
There's not much there.
Well, there's a military base, and there's a train track,
and a train track
going right through town, right through downtown. And so...
Using downtown loosely.
The town.
Main Street.
Yeah, the Main Street. And so...
They're not going to let us film here anymore. Oh, my God. There's really great things about Leesville, though, too. Yeah. Leesville.
So anyway, this train is passing by every 10 minutes, and it's the bane of my existence. And at a certain point, the people that are making the decisions, they're just like, fuck it. We just got to roll and just shoot these scenes because we can't keep pausing, and rightfully so. Yeah. Mm. I mean, I'm getting frustrated too, and I just want to get it done. I'm not going to, so you have these conversations and you say, okay, well, you can shoot the train, right? And I may have said something along those lines.
Probably pissed off and sarcastically.
Yeah.
Not realizing somebody was listening.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, and lo and behold, they did. There's a nice 3 to 5 second shot of just the train passing right through town, and I'm like, yes.
Well done.
Yeah, and I love that, and I do. From time to time, I will make that suggestion and say, hey, you could shoot the airplane, or you can shoot the guy with the leaf blower, and then we see it. And then it makes sense in our brain why we're hearing that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because there are those cutaway type scenes that, they're innocuous. You don't think much about them. You're just going like, oh yeah, there's a guy with a leaf blower. But when you put it into context like that, you're going like, oh, smart play. Like, well done. Yeah. Also, touche to that guy who was probably trying to get some money.
Yeah.
Wait, you're going to use me on that? Oh, man. Going with the theme today, luck has always played a large part, as we've been talking about here. And I guess shouting out to a previous episode, if we were making a competitive bracket of luckiest movies ever, Jaws would be an easy number one seed, as we've covered. It's probably the luckiest movie that's ever been made. But with that said, we're going to look at 5 different movies or movie moments, I guess we'll call them, that also got lucky. Just maybe not lucky enough to warrant their own episode. So research for today's episode comes from, shock, Collider. One of my other favorites, the AV Club. I got some Wikipedia in here, and Top Tens is a new one I've looked at. So are y'all ready to get into it?
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. So first, I thought it would be fun to start off with some sound history. Justin, are you familiar with a sound editor named Walter Murch?
Yeah.
I was not familiar, but I'm not a sound guy. But certainly when I started to read about him, he's still around. Mm-hmm. This dude is a living legend.
So learned about him in film school.
Well, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So he is a editor, director, author, sound editor, sound mixer, and he's the OG sound designer because he coined the title. So he's the original of that as well. He's a 3-time Oscar winner, including an Oscar first and a record that he holds for The English Patient. He's the only person in Oscar history to win for Best Editing and Best Sound.
Oh, wow.
He's been nominated for a total of 28 awards, winning 20, and for anyone playing, that's a pretty good batting average. But what we're bringing up with him today is in 1968, Murch was working on a Francis Ford Coppola movie called The Rain People, which I'd never heard of.
I don't know this movie.
Yeah.
When? What? Oh, 1968.
Mm-hmm. And at this time in the industry, you had to be well-known sound editor. I was actually going to ask you, Justin, if you know anything about this. But apparently back then in this era, you needed to be a somebody to have access to the studio sound effects libraries. And he was not a somebody yet. And so even though he had been hired by Coppola, who himself was maybe an up-and-comer, Walter himself had not yet been established, and therefore he was denied access to these studio libraries, which is a weird snobbery. But do you know anything about that world? Or
I don't know. I'd imagine it has something to do with licensing and, yeah, or just one,
Are sounds copyrighted? Copywritten? Copyrighted? Copyrighted.
Sure.
Well, libraries would be licensed. I don't know if the actual sounds would be copywritten.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
But like you would license a library, I would imagine back in the day.
Is it like the equivalent of stock photos or that you can use? Okay.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Murch was hired for a reason, even though he might not have been bona fide yet by the snobbish eyes of the studios. He was already known as a sound genius in some local circles, social circles, if you will, and he was about to prove it. So Walter made his own effects for the Rain People because he was forced to, and his work was so good that studios hired and pushed him to update their libraries. Walter was so brilliant and revolutionary that he had improved the existing libraries and altered the course of post-production sound. And within a few years, his changes had rendered those existing effects libraries useless or at best pedestrian. Had they allowed him access to the libraries in the first place, he likely would just have used what was already available, and none of his industry-changing work would have played out, at least in the across-the-board reform, a way that it did. One last fun tidbit on him. I thought you would like this, Justin. I saw a quote from him that said, "Life is one big pre-lap."
Yeah.
But he seems like just a really cool guy, and also just film genius for all of the stuff he's done. But there's something about that I really loved, that it was kind of this like, who are you? No, you can't come in here. And then it's like, wait, he did what? All right, get him in here. Like it's just such
Have him redo the whole thing.
That's our industry. But did you know any of that about him, or just he was a guy that y'all had studied in film school? Or?
I didn't. Yeah, we studied him in film school. I think it was because of The Conversation.
Yes, yeah, he was first nominated for The Conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, R.I.P. Gene Hackman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it was. And that film was. I was enamored with wanting to, just wanting to be a sound mixer for film after I saw that. Yeah.
That movie holds up pretty well.
For
being, it's obviously tech dated. For the subject of what's going on, but it's a solid movie.
Yeah.
So moving us along, we've kind of mentioned it in maybe some other episodes before. We could go on for years as far as like where actor casting was affected by random circumstances. I think what Island Dr. Moreau, we were talking about how Bruce Willis's divorce to Demi Moore like set off a chain reaction of casting changes. But what I thought this would be fun to point out, not one but three moments where the already established Steven Super Lucky Spielberg had casting fall in his favor. And we will first look at Indiana Jones. It's not so much a secret that Tom Selleck was the favorite to play Indiana Jones, but in Selleck's autobiography that came out May of last year titled You Never Know, Tom reflects on his audition and meeting with Spielberg and Lucas, and I was going to get one of y'all to read. You look like you have it ready, Heather Ray.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Will you read that for me?
Sure. So Tom Selleck says, when I walked into the room for the audition, it was just those two guys, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. I didn't feel particularly nervous. I was a big Star Wars fan, so I'm certain I brought that up. On my drive home, I thought, boy, that was pretty cool. No pressure, and having a face-to-face with two people whose work I love. And what a great diversion it was, my preoccupation with my outcome of my Magnum pilot. Tom called to read for the lead, but he wasn't allowed to see the script or test pages ahead of time. He said, I got there, and Steven was quick to greet me, gave me the pages for the test, told me not to worry, and take all the time I needed. There was a wardrobe waiting for me. The hat and leather jacket helped me understand the period. When I drove home, my head was full of thoughts. They're testing a lot of people. What if Magnum sells? What if it doesn't sell? This is the lead in the next big franchise after Star Wars, so the processing is going to be a long one. So many good things were presenting themselves. We want you to play Indiana Jones. I think it was Steven who told me. George had always been kind of quiet, always thinking, taking things in, but I detected at least the hint of a smile on his face. Look, I don't have a clue how I responded. I hope I at least said thank you. They handed me the script, and Steven said, read it and tell us what you think. I sat down and turned over the title page. Around page 8, my guard just dissolved. Oh shit, this is terrific. It was the part where Indy is being chased by a huge round boulder rolling down the hill after him. I was reminded of when I rode my bike to Lorena Theater on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks and watched the Saturday matinee movie serials for 25 cents. And of course, it reminded me of the crawl at the beginning of Star Wars. The whole movie was right there on the page in front of me. All of this was going to be, how do I put it, complicated. Extremely complicated. But hey, I had George Lucas and Steven Spielberg on my side, and of course I had my trusted A-team in place, Skip and Betty. Selleck ended up having to turn down the role because Magnum P.I. was sold to CBS and ready to start shooting. So therefore, this is how we get...
And because of
Han Solo!
George Lucas had initially been apprehensive about pushing Harrison Ford for the role because he didn't want to have a repeat actor relationship like Scorsese and De Niro have, for example, which George Lucas. So I think we all have mixed feelings about him. But anyway, but with the news that Selleck was out, it kind of forced his hand. So he called Ford, got a script to him, sent him over to Spielberg's house. Harrison Ford met Spielberg for the first time, auditioned for Indiana Jones, and was cast in less than 2 hours after that. Ford had been very public in thanking Selick for helping him get the role.
Well, actually, and while we're on the subject of Indiana Jones, in the first Indiana Jones movie, there was a very happy accident because in that whole scene where he's
the showcasing swordsman.
Swordsman, and he's just and they were supposed to have a sword fight, and during one of the rehearsals, I think, or maybe it was the first time they shot it, Harrison Ford was actually very, very sick.
Yeah, he had a stomach
during the filming.
bug of some
I'm
kind.
not exactly sure how, but yeah, he was super sick and he was just sweating and felt like shit. And he was about to have this big sword fight with this guy with a scimitar and like the whole bit. And the guy comes out, does his little spiel with the sword, and Harrison Ford takes out his gun and shoots him. Just because he didn't want to do it. And that's what they used in the movie.
And he was like, I'll be in my trailer.
Yep.
Vomiting or something worse.
Yeah. Yep. And it's brilliant. I mean, way better than a sword fight, honestly.
Yeah. It's it's an iconic scene in the movie.
Totally.
Those are sometimes and we're actually going to get into one later, but sometimes those are just the best things because it's total serendipity. And kind of like we were talking about Braveheart in the other episode, but it's those little moments that if I was a director, I would be giddy.
Oh my God.
It was like, I couldn't have planned that. Thank you, cinematic gods.
Yeah, for real.
But
and by the way, any sword aficionados, if that wasn't a scimitar, please don't come down on me.
you know what? It was a scimitar. I feel confident in that. Yeah.
I'm validated.
Had the fat end, skinny end, little handle,
Close enough.
Scabbard. I mean, it's not scabbard. So yeah, scimitar.
Belt.
Yeah, sure.
Sash.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, staying on point with this, we also talking about Temple of Doom. Ke Huy Quan, which everyone knows most notably as Short Round in Temple of Doom and later Data in Goonies, he wasn't even auditioning. His mother had brought he and his brother to the casting auditions for Temple of Doom for his brother to audition. And Justin, do you want to read that one?
Yeah, in a 2023 chat with Deadline, Quan reflects on when he landed the role of Short Round. At that time, he had no acting experience, and the 12-year-old hadn't even been considering a job in the show business. As luck would have it, he had tagged along with his brother to an audition, just there for support and not to personally try out for the role. However, the casting director saw potential in Quan and asked him to also read for the character. Once Spielberg saw the footage, he knew he had found his Short Round. I didn't go looking to be an actor, Quan says. I was just like a normal kid, going to school every day at my elementary school, 12 years old at that time. I immigrated here to Los Angeles in 1979, and 4 years later, as fate would have it, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas was looking for a Chinese kid to be Short Round. And they went everywhere looking for him, couldn't find him, almost gave up the role when they decided to have an open call in Chinatown, Los Angeles. Quan continues, my brother went to an audition. I tagged along, and I was coaching him what to do behind the camera. The casting director saw me and asked me if I'm interested in reading for him and said yes. And I said yes. The next day, we got that fateful call from Steven Spielberg's office.
And I can't remember if I put in the notes or not, but over 200 kids came to that casting call. And I mean, you want to talk about a rolling of the dice. And not only that, but you fast forward all the way back to the present and you look at the crazy career that Ke Huy Quan has had. I mean, I'm sure y'all had similar feelings when Everything Everywhere All at Once, came out. I was elated seeing him back on screen. But he's
I've seen him peppered in things.
He's been peppered in things,
the years.
but I think his main bread and butter has actually been choreography over the years. He's been doing like fight choreography and stuff. And I had read somewhere that he actually had like canceled his insurance or something like that right before Everything Everywhere had happened. It just I don't know how like dire a situation was or whatever. But I think it was.
He didn't cancel his insurance. His insurance got canceled.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of like, I guess what I'm getting at
No,
is
I understand. Things are dire.
things were probably not going great.
Right.
And if things aren't going great, our insurance world gets extremely expensive. And so I'm pretty sure the actor's insurance is similar to ours in that way. So as long as you're working, it's probably fine. But if you're not working, then that well starts to dry. And if you got to be out of pocket, now you're like, this insurance sucks. So I'm assuming it's something of that nature, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, it's in the same way, the whole, we talked about this at length during our summer miniseries.
Yes, we did.
I mean, Sylvester Stallone was not supposed to be Rocky.
No.
They fought and fought and fought him. And he wrote it specifically so he would be able to play a different kind of role.
Yeah. He was like.
So, and Robert Redford.
You know another guy can do it like this. And you tell me.
I got the sneer.
You know, put a knife on that mattress. We're going to need a knife on that mattress.
Listen to the summer miniseries,
I
y'all.
still think about that stupid set piece. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, but you're absolutely right. Like, smart move on his part. Obviously, the little, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some
pre-job security.
But I mean, even if you go back to, I saw this fight, and I'm gonna write the script, and 3 days later he has the first draft, so, and that whole thing. I mean, it's not, again, you make your own luck in this industry a lot of the time.
You definitely do.
But I mean, yeah.
And with that, we'll go to our third person in the Spielberg trilogy here. And we're going to talk about Matt Damon in Saving Private Ryan. So Damon was suggested to Spielberg to play the title character role. And originally, Spielberg dismissed the recommendation because he believed Matt Damon to be too gaunt, because the only thing he knew him in was Courage Under Fire, where Matt Damon was playing a drug addict. So... and of all people, thank Robin Williams for introducing Matt Damon to Steven Spielberg, because Good Will Hunting and Amistad were both shooting in Boston at the same time. So Robin asked Matt, hey, you want to come meet Steven Spielberg? Matt Damon's like, yeah. And upon meeting him, Steven Spielberg goes, he's not gaunt, because you're an idiot. But anyway, no, but it was just the realization of like, oh, wait, this guy could totally play this role. No wonder he was being recommended to me. And so rest is history. And again, happenstance. I mean, had, Good Will Hunting not been happening at the same time, that Robin couldn't have like introduced him. I mean, it's like all of those stars had to align just right for something like that to happen. And that's just the nature of our business.
Yeah. How you like them apples, Steven?
Yeah. How you like them apples, Steven? Eat them so you won't be gaunt. Anyway. So our third story of random luck today comes in the form of one of the most famous lines of all time. This one is a short and sweet one, just like the Matt Damon one. But whether you've seen it or not, Midnight Cowboy has a line in it that not only became one of the most famous lines in cinematic history, but falsely began a New York City stereotype that persists to this day. Does anyone know what the line is?
Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah. So, in the famous scene where Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight are crossing the street, they were on the first take of the scene. A real New York yellow cab ran the red light and almost hit the actors, forcing Hoffman to break character and yell, hey, I'm walking here, to the cab driver, who unknowingly just altered history by committing a minor traffic violation. And the director liked it so much, he kept it. And but I didn't put it in the notes, but I think Hoffman had to make a conscious decision also to, because when he went out of character, he broke accent as well. And so I think he had to like adjust his accent for the scene and everything because of it.
Oh, interesting.
But again, I mean, absolutely hilarious to me. That I also just love the perpetuation of that stereotype that we all know it, whether you've seen the movie or not. And here's this famous iconic thing, and it's 100% accident. Not only is it 100% accident, but it's ironic because it's like the real stereotype isn't that line is a thing that someone says because no one actually says it. The ironic stereotype is the New York cab running the red light and almost hitting people on the street. So I don't know. There's something about that. There's a lot of comedy in that I just found very charming. And
it's a great example for sure.
And then we're going to go one more. This will be our fourth and final luck of the draw. It's going to come to us in the way of the original Home Alone. This one's another little short one, but interesting. So Warner Brothers was the original studio financially backing the film and handling distribution. But and tell me if y'all have heard this, because I didn't. I was totally unaware of this.
I don't know anything about this.
But they shut down the project while still in prep because they had already exceeded the budget. So, and I read mixed answers on what that was exactly.
There's a locations fee for that mansion,
right? But I think what they meant was the initial prep budget had been exhausted for the film, and some WB exec was like, "Shut this down before it hemorrhages more money." That's speculation on my part, but it's what makes sense. And then randomly, 20th Century Fox was like, "Hey, you want to take a flyer on that John Hughes script that Warner Brothers just abandoned?" So they decided to pick it up, and that's when Christopher Columbus gets hired on, attached to the project. And that's when John Hughes suggested Macaulay Culkin for the title role because of his experience with him on Uncle Buck.
Great movie. John Candy.
Holds up very well.
I've seen it fairly recently for the first time in a while. And I was like, all right,
still
it's a great
fantastic.
movie.
Love Uncle Buck. And after auditioning, you know what? This is where I had it wrong. It was 200 kids for this. Sorry. Correction. Stepping aside real quick for our corrections corner, Jed made a mistake earlier, and the 200 other kids was actually for the Home Alone auditions.
There might have been 200 kids for that one, too.
Also could have been 200 kids.
You
know what? Roll with it.
Yeah. It's always 200 kids.
Yeah, so he would be doing a disservice to not hire Culkin is basically what Christopher Columbus was told. And then the rest is history. So you got to thank someone at WB for shutting it down, and then thank you somebody at Fox for picking it up, because had those things not happened, Home Alone either A, wouldn't exist, or it'd be a completely different movie. And let's be honest, like, Macaulay Culkin, he makes that movie.
Oh, yeah,
like,
he's great in that movie.
I don't know how many people could have...
And he was such a cute kid. Oh, my God. He was so
cutest.
Cute.
When he shaves and he's got the... Anyway, that's all we're going to cover today, so we can do this in perpetuity for future St. Paddy's Days in future years. But any final thoughts on the ones we covered today?
No, and I know that as soon as we wrap this up, I'm going to think of like 20 examples right off the top of my head of,
Make fake Google accounts and just email us like some random person.
Exactly. Because all the ones that came up in my head is like, oh, that's not appropriate for the
Who is
air.
Ray Heathers?
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an R-A-Y.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but he sounds pretty cool.
I do wish Joe was still with us, because I do have one, and kind of pertains to a show he has something to do with.
Oh,
come on.
It's X-Files. There was an incident on X-Files in an episode where there was a car accident.
Oh, like an intentional or unintentional?
No, an unintentional car accident.
Oh.
but it made it in the shot.
Oh,
yeah. It was a scene where Scully was walking into a store, and right behind her, like there was a car pulled into the gas station and slammed into another car behind or in front of it, and it was like 10 feet behind.
Are we talking about the original series
Gillian
or one of the
Anderson.
movies?
No, the X-Files series. Yeah,
The original, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know which episode it was. I'd have to look it up. But
I mean, I'm very familiar with that show. It's not ringing a bell, but that's wild. So
Did they chase
as
them
far
to
as
the
I know,
hospital to sign the waivers?
It was an accident. Yeah.
well, and I wonder, did they alter? I mean, did that alter storyline?
No. I think it was a scene where there was like chaos happening about.
And that just happened to be
Like there was like chaos
unplanned
in the
chaos
city.
in real life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is wow. Again, okay, serendipity.
Mm-hmm.
that is, we should let Joe know because that should make y'all even now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's too much to explain.
That's points.
Yeah.
They're saying that to the
It manifested in
here,
points.
Me. I do not
20
know this
points
story.
and 2 vowels to Justin. Any final thoughts from you?
Nope.
It'll be later, right?
Yeah, later, like 5 minutes after we wrap up.
Yeah, I just realized I didn't mean to leave that in. But yeah, what's great about sorry, it's my notes. I was like, what's
Happy accident.
phrasing, Jed?
That's what he said.
I get it. So let's get out of here. Words. Zoe, there you are.
Do you like what we're doing here? Do you have thoughts, comments, questions? Maybe you have an idea or suggestion for topics you want to hear about? Well, you can find us on the intrawebs. You can email us at filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the social medias, Instagram being Film Folklore Podcast. We have a Facebook group called Film Folklore, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at The Film Folk. And yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everybody.